Hello, and welcome to the Go There Do That podcast. My name is Ethan, of course. We are here joined with Heather and two very special guests. Actually, we're guests at your house, and you're guests on our podcast.
That's true.
It's a guest.
Stacey and Aaron from Uncorked Touring Company. Everybody's repping the brand except for me.
Well, you're repping your own brand.
But
Yeah,
I
you
got
got
Go
your
There Do
brand.
That on.
Yeah. All good.
So, I guess we should first start with, who are you guys, and what is Uncorked? What do y'all do? Where are y'all right now? Where are we right now?
Oh, that's a good start.
Yeah.
That's a good start. Go ahead.
You want me to start?
You're in.
Well, you and us are in Lexington, North Carolina. We moved here from Austin, Texas, as you know. And we started a wine touring company here in several of the counties in North Carolina. Davidson County, Surrey County, and Yadkinville County. So we run wine tours, or we don't want to forget boozy field trips where we take people to breweries, cider, vineyard, and usually we end at a bourbon cigar bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a little bit of everything for people.
What does a wine tour consist of? What is it like? If I were to book a tour, what would be the most interesting thing about it?
We started the business focused specifically on Davidson County, and I think that's important because it's just a part of a bigger wine industry here. They call themselves the Southern Gateway Wine Trail, Southern Gateway to the Wine Trail. And we have like 6 vineyards here in Davidson County alone. And so the move here and beginning of Uncorked was specifically to kind of focus on that and make that our little niche, but also go to all the other more popular places where there's 200 plus other vineyards, Yadkin and Surrey, as Aaron mentioned. But I think what makes Uncorked is right now our flexibility and that we basically will go to pretty much all of the vineyards or any vineyard somebody chooses. But we found it's easier for us to kind of predetermine, make that package for people.
Yeah,
Yes.
sometimes people don't want to make that
Yes,
decision.
exactly.
Yeah.
It kind of helps the decision-making process for sure. We'll go anywhere and
Within reason.
Yes.
I mean, because there is vineyards like out towards the coast, but that's 4 or
Yeah.
5 hours. Like we can't do that. So
Right.
Right,
we
right,
focus
right.
within 2 hours.
Yes.
Really is our biggest focus.
Yeah.
for sure.
That's awesome.
So you don't want people to think, oh, will you take me down to, up to, we've asked people, hey, can you take us to Virginia? It's like, well, no, we're not going to go that far. I mean, that's a little too far.
Because here in Lexington, you have one of the most premier vineyards just right down the road.
It's a mile and a half from our house.
And
Childress
Vineyard.
Vineyards. It's definitely a premier vineyard in the whole state of North Carolina,
Absolutely.
if not the whole East Coast.
yeah.
Not only because he's a big name in NASCAR, which draws in a lot of people, but his genuine love of wine and the wine industry and wine culture
Absolutely.
is very evident to visit this place. It's villa style, Napa Valley, it's a gorgeous estate vineyard. So
Like what you
it's-
imagine when you
Well,
think
It's
you-
of
everything
what-
you would think it
Yeah.
would be,
Yeah.
but somehow tucked away here in Little Lexington, North Carolina.
It's funny when we first got here, we were like, oh, Childress Vineyard. This guy just stamped his name on it because of who he is. And we go there, I'm like, oh, wow, he actually does care about his wine. It's actually really good. And he's always there.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
participates
always is
still.
there.
He's not just a name on his vineyard. He's he's an active participant and cares about the events and things that are
Absolutely.
happening.
And we've driven by his house, which is absolutely gorgeous. And he has his own private vineyard. And so they've made a wine from his private vineyard called Black Spanish. So it's the grapes that are on his own property, not even at the actual vineyard. So he actually cares about wine.
Yeah, it's like his whole life.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he has one of the best winemakers in
the East Coast.
the East Coast, if not the nation. I cannot pronounce his last name because
Mark.
it's really hard, so we just call him Mark F. But Childress also holds a lot of the smaller surrounding vineyards they hold their wine for them, or they work with Mark to make their wine. So that collaboration, I think, is really cool too, that it's not just Childress on their own and everyone else fend for themselves. They
Like
all are
helping
kind
the
of
community.
exactly. Yeah. And the wine industry in general, really. I mean, you know, without a big production facility like Childress, a lot of these other vineyards
Wouldn't make it.
Yeah, wouldn't make it, or would depend on maybe even out of state resources. So, yeah.
And y'all have had experience in other wine popular areas like Fredericksburg in Texas, which, you know, that's originally, that's how we met, was in Texas.
Correct.
And so y'all had Fredericksburg, experienced all that, but Lexington is sort of
like up and coming.
coming.
Like a pre. Yes.
Yeah.
We had amazing times in Fredericksburg,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we kind of fell in love with wine there. Even though I will say the wine was not nearly as good there as it is here.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, it was more...
It was more the experience, I think, more than the wine. It's like, oh, it can be... Because I guess my first impression of wine tasting or Napa's is highfalutin, you know, people that are on a different level. And I'm like, that's not me. I don't fit in. And then she, you know, introduced me to there, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is the way I would want a you know, experience to be.
It makes it approachable. Like,
Yes.
there's no pretentiousness
That's the word I was
to it. And the way I always look at tasting wine or going to vineyards is that it's like going to an art gallery or viewing art. Like, everybody likes something different, but there's something for everybody. You don't have to agree. Like, not everybody should like the same thing.
Right.
There's something for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you think of wine, some people think, "Oh, I don't like the taste of that red wine from a box that I tried that one time in college."
Yep.
And so a lot of people think that, but so why try a new wine? It's like colors, you know. There's this whole spectrum of different types of things, but quality wine that exists here in Lexington. Right.
Absolutely. So, I won't say all of Fredericksburg wine was bad. I will say, depending on it, like I guess depending on the region is like what kind of wine is offered. So Texas depends on a lot of like fruity wine and stuff like that.
Easier to grow than grapes in Texas.
As our like palate developed and you taste more and more, you learn to like certain grapes and you learn to like certain things. So it just kind of, we transitioned away from that kind of wine. And then when we came here, we had wine that we'd never even tried before. Chamberson.
Cab Franc. I've never had Cab Franc before.
Terminette. Like,
Montepulciano.
So it was kind of fun to like educate ourselves as we moved here too.
And originally, we have this giant map of Vermont behind us. Y'all are originally from Vermont. Is there any sort of wine, like growing up, or you know, how did y'all get into loving wine and being passionate about that?
So Vermont, no. I mean,
there is now. They have some vineyards.
They do have a couple vineyards.
It's crazy.
I'm not 100% sure if all their grapes are grown.
No, there's no way.
I'm sure maybe production is in Vermont.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was never really a huge wine drinker. Probably not until my 30s. And then I think it just kind of happens the older you get, people kind of expect you to drink it.
Right.
That's true.
So you kind of sample it, like you're at a party, you're at dinner, you know, you're having it's a big special occasion moment. Somebody breaks out a nice bottle of wine. Like, it just kind of developed like that. So I don't remember having a big aha moment where I was like, this is for me. I'm going to make my whole life about wine.
I can say it's the opposite for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because wine wasn't even on my radar growing up or in the 20s or whatever. They had like Boone's Farm and Mad Dog 2020.
You're like, I'm good.
And when Bartles and James wine coolers came out, I'm like, oh, this isn't bad because it doesn't taste like wine.
Right.
So I didn't drink it until we got together in Texas.
Right.
And she's like, you don't drink wine? I'm like, no. So she slowly introduced me to like, all right, we're going to start off with this Moscato, which is extremely sweet.
Right.
And then gradually my palate's like, that's a little too sweet. Let's move up. So then, you know, it went from Moscato to Riesling to a Chardonnay. And then she's at Fleming's restaurant. I'm not probably, you know, whatever, promote them. But I tried this wine called Jam Jar, which was a red wine. And it's like a Syrah grape or whatever, but it's sweeter, but it was a transitional wine. And at that point, I'm like, oh, I love red wine. And then it's just my palate has expanded to, you know, from sweet to really, really dry. So at that point, that's when I fell in love with wine.
But to get there was the wine tasting experience, right?
Right.
Like we would go different places and sample this, try this, whatever. So you like kind of get there. And, you know, kind of full circle, that's how Uncorked even comes into like being a company, is that we fell in love with that experience of like the tastings and
absolutely
visiting different places and talking to different people. Like every time you go somewhere new, right, you kind of like make little friends for the day that are also doing the same thing you're doing, right? But I think we just kind of fell in love with the experience and the process of it, and to be able to offer that as a business seems pretty cool.
So that's your history of how you got into wine.
Yeah.
And
correct.
Uncorked is sort of that fun that y'all have that would during the experience of discovering and meeting new, like you just described. That's what y'all are trying to bring to other people.
Exactly.
Like
the passion that we have for those experiences of friendship, sharing wine, you know, meeting new people. It's like, well, how can we do that? Our love for how can we bring that to other people? So we specifically designed our bus as like a lounge. So it's not just a seat, you know, you're riding on a bus, just going wherever. You're interacting with the people that you're in. We made it like a U shape with a table in the middle. So it's like a communal thing, you know, and it's a great experience.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you guys have the same thing with Go There, Do That. You're in love with your thing.
What you do.
Right?
Yeah.
And you want to share it.
Yeah.
And you share it with people while you're in it. Like, they're like your temporary best friends for the day, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
And then you want to be like, well, how do we share that, right? Because it's bigger than just keeping it to yourself.
I think because your love of being out there, you want to show people you can go to these places as well, and it's not, you know, crazy, especially here in America. You can go and find somewhere beautiful. You don't have to go to the Alps or whatever to find beauty. And you guys bring that, hey, you could go here. I think that's what your message is.
Yeah. Same thing, different font.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's simple to think about. It's very difficult to get there in practice. You know?
Absolutely.
And it's one of the most difficult things to do. Just figure out what you like and make
how you
it
can
work.
share it with others.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's.
But the sharing's important, because without the sharing, I mean, it's great to like, we can sit here and high five each other all day long about that. We created this great thing, but you know, eventually you want it to be bigger than that.
Yeah.
And you know, wine tasting in particular, it's not so much about like getting people buzzed or drunk. We definitely don't promote ourselves as like a party bus.
Right.
We kind of discourage that, because what it should really be about is, in 5 years from now, they say, hey, remember that time we celebrated, you know, Lucy's birthday with the Uncorked wine touring trip? Or we brought them to vineyards they didn't even know existed, or that they just hadn't made time to go to yet. And now they go out of their way to go to that vineyard because they found their new favorite wine, or they just loved that experience or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like creating that path, creating a memory. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah.
And the U shape is on your shirts too, and that I just noticed that as well. So this bus that we talk about, the inside, it's not, if you have a group of 10 or under and you don't want to spread them out across multiple Ubers, and you can't
And lose the vibe.
Yeah.
You lose the vibe in an
Yes.
Uber. You know,
You
you're still
totally
being
do.
you're being safe either way, but the vibe is lost in an Uber.
You don't
Yes.
lose your momentum if you book a tour with Uncorked. It's like the
Absolutely.
fun is just continuous. You
Through
have
the day.
Yeah. So you're driving this bus and everybody's safe and sound. I feel safe if you're driving the bus. We were here 2 years ago and during y'all's grand opening,
Yeah.
and that was
That
really
was like
fun.
the most fun weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a great
It
experience.
Like
was.
top
Yeah.
three.
It's like a dream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that weekend was, it
Yeah.
was special.
So
There's something about filling your house with people that you love and everybody came in with such great energy
everybody-
and
yeah, that
just
was
so
awesome.
positive and excited for us. It's making me a little teary-eyed just thinking about it.
Right.
But yeah, it's like a once in a lifetime moment.
I think
Aaron talked about recreating it, like inviting everybody
Yeah,
back.
no,
And
you
I'm like,
can't.
I don't
That's the
think we
problem.
I don't
is
think
you
you
can't
can.
chase
Yeah.
that dragon of
Yeah.
getting that same experience, and it never will be. It's in the moment.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that solidified my love for you guys when you guys came all the way and we shared that, and Ethan did the commercials for us, and I just felt like it made us closer.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are lifetime friends. Like,
Oh yeah.
For sure.
for sure.
We're in it now, guys. You're
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
We're
that's
stuck.
great. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know Smoosh, who's a part of he's on the Go There Do That website.
love
Who is Smoosh for Go There Do That?
Smoosh is our cat, but he's a pretty special little kitty. He goes camping with us, wears a leash, you
Yeah.
know. Not like your typical cat.
He's an exceptional,
exceptional cat.
cat.
He's more like a dog than a
Yes.
cat,
But
honestly.
Yes.
that first
For sure.
weekend I picked him up, you guys had shown up to our house and I was like, we have a new family member.
Yeah.
And we uncover a little kitty cat that I just found on the side of the road. And it was cool because y'all were the first people to meet him right after us, you know, basically. But
Yeah.
I was like, you're
was-
keeping him, right?
yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
get it. What else do we do with this thing, this creature?
I'm going to train him to go on this backpack and he's going to go camping with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll ruin him. That's just really, we talk about memories and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
we've heard a quote from Chris McCandless, who the movie Into the Wild is about him. You went to Alaska, and his quote is, "Happiness isn't real unless it's shared."
Feels right.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
I guess because happiness, I could be happy and not have anybody around me, but I'm still happy.
Aaron could be
I'm
happy
still-
with the hot
I'm
dog
happiness,
sitting
yeah. I
alone.
might be happy, so it's not something I necessarily to share. But sharing your happiness with other people makes it more full.
Elevated.
But I guess that's my take on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it elevates and
Yep.
your experience of happiness when other people around sharing your same happiness.
yeah, yeah.
That's me being whatever Young, CC Young, or GG Young, whoever you're reading now.
See, Jung, Carl Jung. Yeah. Woo-woo stuff, man.
That little woo right there.
Yeah. But yeah, that's true. I mean, an introvert, extrovert, that might be different because Heather can be perfectly.
I'm
you know,
fine being alone. I can.
content.
I feel happiness alone.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
See, that's what, I
happiness
guess
with
that's what I'm
others.
saying. But it's
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
sharing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, especially with like Go There, Do That, because a lot of your moments are moments for just the two of you, right? Like big moments when you see something magical,
Right.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
hiked
that
all day
elk.
just to see that. Yes.
That picture
Yeah,
of that
right.
elk is one of the greatest pictures I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The photo looking back was taken in Colorado, but that is yet to be revealed as of the recording of this podcast. But it has been.
poop.
I'm gonna put
But
it up.
he's talked about
I'm gonna
it.
put it up right.
okay.
I'm gonna put it
All
up
right, so
right
it's
here.
only-
Yeah.
It's not a secret.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
good.
I'm
You
like,
didn't
I
spoil
just
it.
revealed something on this podcast that, oh crap.
Oh, the big reveal.
But now people are going to be excited
Yeah.
because they heard it from me.
Right. Not just
about-
Ethan
not
talking
just
about
Ethan.
his own photo.
Yeah. Right?
I wasn't gonna bring it
It's
up.
not a biased opinion.
That's good. So y'all have seen on these tours that y'all have had though. Y'all have, because y'all don't know all these people that, you know, you just met them that day or y'all been emailing. But do y'all see those moments being created in others too? Like you're like, this might be one of the most
That's the Aaron question because
Yep.
he's the tour driver and
You get
I'm
feedback?
really just
Myself and Jody. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, some groups you can tell that, oh wow, they're really into this. They're so enjoying it, and the conversation we have a curtain that separates the cab from the people, so they have their own experience. But I think sometimes people forget it's only a curtain.
Right.
Sometimes conversations are a little spicy or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's other tours that everybody does happiness different, where they're a lot more quiet and they're not really listening to music loud, but they're having a good day. So it's it's a different experience for everybody. But everybody that gets off that bus says how amazing the bus and the experience was.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because that environment back there, I'll show a photo of the interior of the bus, but that it creates this, like it's safe. It is private.
It's yes.
Yeah, that's really. You write little messages on the chalkboard behind them,
but it is like less overwhelming than like a party bus. Like I've been like on a party bus before, and it's like. It's just like not my vibe, especially as I get like older.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's a much more just like happy, easy vibe.
So y'all haven't had a request for like any strobe lights?
Oh, absolutely. Requests for stripper poles. Sometimes the younger people that are on there. Oh, we should have a stripper pole. We don't want to promote that. Plus,
right.
Yeah. Sorry, as a business owner, the insurance that we'd have to carry. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
No stripping on the bus.
Right.
It is. There is a point where you have to say this is transportation. It's not.
Yes.
Yeah, you were just taking.
We're not at the club.
For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny though that almost every tour, whether it's you or Jody driving, will ask you guys to come have a drink with them
All the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Usually by the second stop, like, are you hanging out
is
with
like,
us? Or?
Yeah.
You technically are paying for us to be
your
designated driver.
Right.
We're here to take care of you. So the answer is thank you, but no. No.
Yeah.
It's just a test.
Yes.
Yeah. Responsible choice.
And it's probably kind of hard, right? Like if it's a really fun
absolutely,
group
There's times I'm like, man, I want to be partying with these guys.
Like let's meet up later.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, he's been invited
I've
back
been invited
for
to
dinner.
party. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Who is Jody? You mentioned someone else.
Jody is our operations manager. She's my sister. She does the driving. She gets the bus ready. Her and Aaron work a lot together, just on like collaborating the tour and making sure everything's understood about where we're picking people up and where we're bringing them and all of that. So she does a great job. She's had people chant her name and sing songs about her on the bus. Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah. Her title is operations manager, but also better known as Joder, the driver.
Yeah, there's a story behind Joder. Can
Maybe
I tell you that story?
May we hear it?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, so
okay.
It was an event that we did for Childress Vineyards. We were doing transportation service from local hotels to the event, and so we're just picking people up or whatever. So I was introducing, the first group that came on from the hotel, and I was introducing myself, and then I was introducing Jody. So in my mind, I was really, I was excited. Hey, this is kind of one of our first events. I'm like, okay. So I was trying to mix Jody and our driver together, so I called her Joder, the driver. So everybody was like, what? What did you say? I'm like, and it stuck. So we actually had a shirt made, and it says Joder, the driver on it. So it's kind of stuck, so people call her Joder.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was good. They were the chanters.
Yeah, there was some chanting.
Yeah.
So they chanted Joder?
Joder.
That's good.
Yes. But she's a really important part of what we do. She's, she's involved in every decision making that we make because communication, as much as we try, sometimes we fail, it's really important that we're all on the same page across the board, whether we're talking about the advertising, how we do tours, what we offer tours. Jody does a lot of research for us on when we're thinking of coming up with new tours or new offerings. Yeah. She's
and
really
she does
part.
90% of the driving.
Oh.
Yeah, she's got it down.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what are some new offerings? Is there unique, how do y'all keep it fresh?
Stuff.
The Shelton. Well, we have like the Orchid package, the Lilac, Orchid, and Violet. The Violet tours. So within those tours is the vineyards that we partner with, and you get to pick from those 3. So it isn't like, okay, we're going to start here at Childress and then drive an hour and a half to this place. So it's kind of in the same region as how we broke it up.
Yeah.
We call it custom tours.
Custom tours.
So we gave it like a color purple name.
Right.
Broke it into the regions and let people choose 3 of those vineyards within that region.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Because otherwise, yes, you end up people asking you to bring you
all over the place.
Yeah.
Right.
And the point is to be at the vineyard, not to spend the day on the bus.
Right.
Like
Right.
as nice as the bus is, and it's made for that.
Mhm.
Like the day should be about being at the vineyard.
Right.
So we had to kind of take some time to figure that out. So we call those our custom wine tours.
Mm-hmm.
And then another big one was Shelton Vineyards.
Which is awesome.
Another really big name here in North Carolina. They kind of were the beginners.
They were the beginning. They were the first vineyard in North Carolina.
Yes.
Wow.
That started all of this, and the
Yes.
place is beautiful. And then people like, oh, well, they can do it, and it kind of morphed from that.
Right.
Yes. So they're an hour north
Little
of
hour,
here.
yep.
Beautiful, beautiful place. Fantastic wine. But they reached out to us a few months ago
Which is really nice.
and invited us up and schmoozed you and Joder for
Yep.
the day.
Yeah.
Because they have lunch on, they have their own bistro. So they gave us lunch and gave us a tour of the grounds. And
Yeah.
we worked out a deal with them called the Shelton Experience, where you can go and they'll take you into their wine cave, and you can have a private tasting with a sommelier that talks about, the different wines and what you're going to taste. But it's just for our group that goes there.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
and you could do it in the wine cave
It's a barrel room or the pavilion.
and the house.
Oh,
They
right,
have
or
one of the
house.
owner's original houses. They turned into like a farmhouse or a wedding, kind of where the bride changes or whatever. But you could do a tasting in there as well.
Oh, cool.
So they kind of
Yeah.
they really worked. They reached out to us, which was nice for all the
It was nice.
promotion
And
we do for everybody
they're just
else.
far enough away where we thought and have enough to do there that
Right.
that's a day.
That's a day.
Like you
Yeah.
can spend the day
That's
there.
the Shelton experience.
The Shelton
Exactly.
experience,
And the grounds are beautiful. So between the tour, a tasting that comes with like charcuterie and all of that, and then being able to have lunch or dinner or whatever there, that's a full day there. So it was kind of nice that they reached out to us. Though.
What's the other thing that we offer?
We offer a lot of things.
The 2-person one.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We did have a lot of requests, like people who didn't want to maybe do it as a group.
Right.
Not saying that they don't have friends. I just think people want to
I
experience
don't
wine
know that I have
differently.
9 friends to take,
Yes, or maybe that's not even the way you want to experience
Yeah.
the vineyard or wine tasting. So we say you and your favorite person, or you and your favorite wine loving person. But yeah, that's a
executive.
2-person experience, an executive. It's in the Porsche.
You get to ride in a Porsche.
Yes, that comes with wine on the way, and we kind of do the same things. We pick a region. You pick a region, and we'll bring you to 3 places. So.
And-
Yeah.
You're able to sip on wine as you
Oh yeah.
are in the back?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we
Okay.
always, all of our tours will have some wine. I mean,
North
it isn't
Carolina wine.
North Carolina wine. It isn't endless, of course, but just some
Right.
complimentary wine to start your tour, and maybe a glass along the way or whatever. But yeah, so
Very cool. And is it like wine from the different places?
We try to make sure it's from
North Carolina.
one of the
Local.
places we go
Yeah.
to, or North Carolina. Sometimes we
Right.
get our hands on a bottle from a place we haven't been to, or we don't have it listed as a tour.
Right.
But the whole concept of Uncorked is to promote North Carolina wines.
Right.
So in any way that happens,
Yeah.
we do that.
And it's cool to try something else anyways, because it's like they're already going to the places they're going to that day.
Yes,
So
for sure. So
it's
try
fun to have
something
it-
else.
Yeah,
yes. It lures them to come back and say,
Absolutely.
"Oh, do you
Right.
go to this place? Because I love this wine."
Yeah.
We haven't asked you why specifically Lexington, North Carolina. Because Vermont, Texas. Why here? Why did y'all land?
I'm going to have the boss answer that question,
Okay.
and I just kind of
think
I followed suit. I guess. Well, I'll start.
I told him.
I will start it, and then I'll have you fill in all the details. So when we first talked about leaving Austin, she's like, "Hey, what do you think about moving to North Carolina?" And my first reaction was no, because I thought she wanted to move where Jody used to live in Wilmington on the coast, and I'm like, I'm not a big ocean person. I said no, I don't want to. She's like, no, I found this other place, and then I'll have you fill in why you picked the place or whatever.
Okay. So I think the decision to move even came from a more personal place. So I'll just back it up a little bit to that. Our parents are getting a little bit older.
Yeah.
Aaron had gone through losing his dad, and it was really hard to get to him during that.
Right.
From Texas to Vermont. And I think a lot of lessons were learned about what's when the time comes, what's important.
Right.
Right. As much fun as we had in Texas and loved being there and loved you guys, and it was really hard to not see family. And something about turning 50.
Yeah.
Something about turning 50, something in my head switched where I thought, okay, this is where I start counting down, like this is how much time I have being this active and this level of active. And my family is this old. My brother is this old. My sister is this old. My mom is this old. And I want to spend my remaining years with them. Or at least closer to them where we can have access to each other. Being on the East Coast felt like a good compromise.
Right.
We haven't lived up Northeast in a really long time. That would be a disastrous change for both of us.
Right. To go back to Vermont.
Could not move there. Could not live there.
For sure. So North Carolina felt right. And then I just started researching that they had an amazing wine industry here and so many vineyards, and that it had grown just a ridiculous amount. It went from maybe 50 vineyards to over 200 vineyards in a very short amount of time.
Whoa.
So the growth was there, the opportunity was there. It made me think of Fredericksburg in Texas.
Yeah.
Where that was the thing, right? It was maybe a handful of vineyards.
Right.
Then it turned
That's how it
into
started.
20 or so. And now it's, I can't even imagine, just endless amounts. I think the last time we drove there, we counted for 2 miles and we counted over 50 vineyards.
In Fredericksburg?
Yeah, from
Well, no, I think it was that 16-mile stretch from Johnson City to Fredericksburg. There was 46 vineyards in that 6 when we left.
Right.
They were still building more, so it's
Saturated.
Yes.
Very.
so that I guess she researched all the wine, where's up and coming, and we also chose Lexington because we kind of wanted to get back to a smaller town, that small town feel, but we're close to.
We're centrally located.
Winston-Salem, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Greensboro, 45 minutes. Charlotte, 1 hour. So it's great.
We have 3 airports that are near us, right, for options.
Right.
We have driving. We could drive if we needed to.
Yeah, you guys saw how
we
easy
could drive
it is to
for 12
drive
hours.
on the highway.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those were all kind of key factors as to moving North Carolina, and then Lexington, just the location.
Yeah.
That I kind of mentioned it earlier about the Southern Gateway, that there are vineyards here are kind of the part of that wine gateway trail. So we thought we could just kind of carve this out for us, maybe. There is another wine tour company or two up in the more populated vineyard areas, but nothing
there was nothing
here.
Yeah.
Nothing here to the point where when we started the business, we had to do a lot of explaining about what we even were. What are you?
Right.
Was a big question. What do you do? What are
I
you?
could drive myself. What do I need you for? Whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the other thing, they don't have Ubers around here.
Oh.
So then there's no Ubers around here.
So then you're just at risk of getting
You're-
a DWI.
exactly.
So
So
we
maybe
give
we
a-
should get a bus.
We give a safer, safe option.
Yes.
And you're having a fun time with whoever your favorite people are on the bus.
Wow.
Yes.
No Ubers.
Yes.
No Ubers.
Right.
That's wild.
Exactly.
It is.
Yeah.
Imagine that world.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
Ubers, no Lyft.
Well, just
Yeah,
in
I'd definitely be renting the bus.
yeah. Well, being in a very highly populated space sort of does warp. Just not leaving the country in general and exploring things like just
Or
how
your
big
area.
America is
Absolutely.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because Alabama, Louisiana, it's like a similar, like
Absolutely.
it's similar, but it's
Yeah.
like this just goes on for like
Yeah.
we drove for a
We
long
drove
time.
through like 5 states to get here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's
Yeah.
weird to not ever want to leave Texas because it's 7 hours to just leave, get
Leave the
through.
state.
Hit
And-
the state line.
Yeah, because that's what we deal with. Well, y'all know. And just coming up here though, it's so green and nice, and the weather is
The weather's
so good,
still nice, yeah.
Beautiful.
so good here, and just experiencing a different part of the earth, I think is healthy for everybody. Because when you think
Absolutely.
something's the same over and over,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people, and especially where we're from in Vermont, they settle.
Mm-hmm.
They settle on, okay, this is my life. They settle with their partner. They don't leave their little box because it's so scary, and they only go to New Hampshire and Maine is big, big deal. So I think you get stagnant if you're just not experiencing what's out there. There's so much to life. And like Stacey was saying, for us, we're on the backside of the roller coaster. So we want to enjoy our fruitful years that we're still able to,
Yep.
be around and travel wherever.
it's good to do that.
So that
yeah.
segues into my question for you guys. I'm gonna put you on the spot. What was your favorite trip that you've done that was like the most memorable to you? To you, maybe not the most beautiful, but what was the most memorable trip for Go There Do That?
might be different for.
And it might
Yeah.
be different. That's what I want to hear. Don't answer. Yeah, just
You go
whatever.
first.
So it was the first time we ever took a trip in the van. We call it the National Parks Extravaganza.
Oh, yeah.
It was as if my life, like there were a lot of things in my life that were just happening where I was incorrect about a lot of stuff, and I needed to grow. And so that trip, it was about, how long was it?
17 days.
17 days. We went to 8 national parks. We were supposed to go to 10, but it was when COVID was ramping up, end of 2021, the Omicron,
We literally got COVID when we got back.
or as soon as we got back. We were in a box the whole time, the van. But that trip was important because it was our first hike, Guadalupe Mountains National Park. And we were hiking up, and there was supposed to be a snowstorm the next day. And we were like, oh, like we heard it from the host that everyone just, and we're like, well, we're going to go to the top of Guadalupe Peak because we can't let that stop us. So we hiked up in the snow, and that if we'd have waited for the storm, or there's a Heather with snow on her head and her back on the backpack. It was cool, but we were the first ones to be on that trail that day. And I said, today this trail is ours. Tomorrow it's someone else's. And as the snow builds, so do we.
That's a good catch line, by the way.
Yeah.
I want it on
Just
a t-shirt.
FYI.
I want it on a t-shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a t-shirt.
Yeah. But we were the first footprints, right?
Yeah.
It was cool to see.
Yeah.
But then we turned around, and this is the first signature edition print that we've gotten. That's why I call them signatures, because of the story behind it too. But we turned around, and there was a mountain miles away, and there was a cloud, like a layer of cloud, which was the storm that we were hiking above now. And then there was another layer of cloud above that. So you could see between these clouds for miles, and there was a mountain way off in the distance. And I took a photo, and Heather turned around and was like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. But our first hike, we chose to wake up early before the sunrise, and then we saw that thing, and it lasted, like the clouds were moved. You know how when you can watch them shift and move? So it was only a few seconds, and then it was gone, and it was hidden again. But I was like, how did we see that at the perfect elevation?
Meant to.
And then the
Right.
last, personal, I want to write I said this is based on a book that's yet to be written in the trailer I made for it because I want to talk about it so much. But I'll skip to the very end with the Grand Canyon. And this was our last hike, our last view, seeing the Grand Canyon. Everybody was leaving, and the sun was gone.
It'd been cloudy all day.
Cloudy all day, snowy. We barely got to see into the canyon too. And this storm, it felt like, was following us from Guadalupe to the Grand Canyon. Actually canceled 2 national parks because it was so snowy and bad when it caught up. it kicked us out of Yosemite National Park too. So it just kept following us. And so I have this metaphor of like this, I think a storm is like anxiety, like weather, right? Sometimes you get rain, sometimes you get cold, and you can't really help that.
Yeah.
The way the emotions or feelings in life hit you. It's just about what you do with them.
Sure.
And so you can take a photo of it and it's like, this really sucks. I'm really cold. I don't like how I'm feeling right now, but I still took a photo. And then I have that to take from it. So the last thing at the Grand Canyon, everyone was leaving. It was so cold and miserable. I was like, man, this kind of sucks. We didn't really, amazing photo, whatever. But at the last second, it's this beam of light shot across the Grand Canyon. And it caught onto, it's called the Vishnu Temple, I think. It's a land formation in the Grand Canyon. Heather says it looks like
a boob. To me.
But it looks man-made, but it's not. But this beam of light shot across the Grand Canyon, shined on that one particular piece. And I took a photo of it, lasted not that long. And I was like, oh, okay. But we waited around until the last possible, like the light has to be gone from your life in order for you to actually give up. Yeah.
It's like moments that like let you know that you're like doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like meant to be doing. Like a little gift.
Yes.
Like
and,
you're doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on the path.
It's much harder to experience that when there's more objective points of view, like the regimented, I'm going to go to work, come back home. There's nothing new about this experience that I'm having. But nature is new all the time, and it's overwhelming sometimes because you're like, this isn't safe, or, But in the video I made, the last part, I say the hardest part will always be letting it all go. And then it shows that photo I took. It's called Painted by the Sun. It's in a gallery. And then I like walk away from it because I'm like, I'm never going to not forget about this.
Yeah.
So I might as well just take photos, show it off, and bring it around to people because it's too amazing for me to just, hold on to. It's like, yeah, that's cool. It's on my computer. It has to be shared. Happiness may not be exactly real unless it's shared.
All right.
So that's my favorite
That's amazing.
trip.
I just, before Heather tells hers, I want to say I remember before you guys left, it's the first time I ever hugged Ethan because I thought, I'm not sure he's ever going to come back.
Yeah.
You have to.
You were so amped. And you guys were so excited to go. And I thought that was a really long time.
Yeah.
And I thought,
it was our first trip in the
back.
van.
They'll come back. They'll grab the dogs and the cats. They'll pack what they got to throw for sale sign up on the front yard. And just
they're gone.
Gone again.
Yeah, sorry. I want to say something before. Do you know your thought? Do you know what your favorite moment is?
Yeah.
All right, so keep that
You're
thought.
good,
Because my question is, I always thought that once you guys started doing all this camping and going in the mountains, I'm like, but you guys grew up in West Texas where there's none of that. So how you went from flat to the mountains and loving it's like I'm really surprised that you're still in Texas. Like I feel like you guys should be somewhere else. But Texas holds a place in your heart. But I love Texas. I love Texas. It'll always be special to me. But that's my 2 cents. I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
They're trying to get us to move here.
Well, that is one.
That is one of the
Yeah. We start thinking, wait, why are we in
Why
Texas?
are we there?
Because like the next time you come, we'll go to the mountains.
Yeah.
Which is it starts an hour away. You start seeing the mountains, and within an hour and a half, you're in the mountains.
Yeah.
So that's another thing about here is we're so close to all
Everything. Beach.
the ocean, the lakes, the mountains. It's all right here, and of course for us, the vineyards are right here. So
it is really hard being like away from that. I mean, Texas is beautiful. We've grown up there. West Texas does have like a certain beauty about it, like deserty. The sunsets there are
absolutely
unreal. But yeah, like sometimes it does feel hard to not be like close to like a beautiful flowing river and mountains and seeing snow and stuff. But at the same time, like I know that I'm not immune to becoming like desensitized to that. Like
absolutely
moving to the mountains wouldn't fix all my problems or like make me happy. But I think like as we like grow up and figure ourselves out more, I think it's like healthier for us to consider that at a certain point, like moving. But if we had like gone off on the National Parks extravaganza, put a for sale sign in our house and moved at that point in our lives, we would have been like running from something.
For sure.
And then you're not,
True.
it would have probably blown up in our faces and like, wait, we're not like just fixed, now that we're,
So I'd say fear chases, but beauty follows.
Do you think that's part of the reason why you did go there, do that, is to find yourself, to find
I think I was
happiness or whatever, find inside yourself?
I think I was always there. I think it's about building that bridge back to who you are. Like the first time you've experienced this thing in your childhood or your life or whatever, it's you return back to that and try to integrate it as best as you can into your life and live every day. And it could be family, it's something basic, it's something simple, right? But it's difficult to get there. Like that's what I think it is, because I always grew up going outdoors with it was best time ever, going out and having fun in nature and just kind of tripping and falling and but that's fun. It's just, how do you make that into a business where you're sharing it with other people too? It's hard because we have to make a living,
right? That pesky part of it.
So
but you're taught only how to make a living, not how to make a life though, right? For yourself.
Absolutely.
It's like that most of the time. That's it.
Tell us, Heather.
Okay, so really before Go There Do That, like our trip to Alaska in 2019 was very pivotal and probably like opened my mind to even considering Go There Do That, because before that trip, like I'd gone to like Colorado on like a band trip in high school, but like really had not traveled at all. Like before we took that trip, the furthest we'd gone was like to freaking Schlitterbahn in like in the San Antonio, New Braunfels area. And so then we like did the thing, we got married, we moved away, we were like had a house. We hadn't bought a house yet at that point, but we like had a house. And then you're still just like, what do I do? Like this isn't doing it for me. And then like we both had careers and stuff, and then we were like, okay, let's like go somewhere. And so we like started trying to plan some stuff, and then it was like we could like go to Alaska. Like, but that's like also very extreme, like for your first freaking trip to take is to Alaska
from Texas,
and you just go whoo, like immerse yourself in that. So that like ruined me in a way, because I was like, I could never picture myself even being like, am I the kind of person that like travels to Alaska and can travel to Alaska? And so once that like happened, it like opened my eyes a lot for like what my life could be, like maybe not settling and stuff. So and so that happened, but then like COVID happened, and then it was like, oh, you can't go here, you're done. And so Go There Do That was like started from that, because it was like, well, we can at least go camping, my goodness, because it was like we had this thing that we felt really good and passionate about. We wanted to travel more and have those opportunities, but then life was like, no. And we were like, okay, but we're still gonna do it.
Yes, exactly.
We're just gonna figure another way out.
To work around.
But for me, like starting to really see a change in myself was like when we went to Zion, and that was like our first big trip with Go There Do That. Like we've been like camping weekends here and there, and then we went to Zion, and you like kind of tricked me onto doing Angel's Landing.
It's a dangerous hike,
which is like
they have a sign saying how many people died on it before you go on it.
Like I saw myself as like a big chicken before that. Like I don't like roller coasters. I don't do this. I'm anxious, and I don't like push myself out of my comfort zone. Like that's just not who I am. And then I did that, and I did it. And I survived it, and it was really awesome. And then I was like, oh, I am kind of like a badass.
Like the mental boost was
it like changed my perception of myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah.
And I think because I suffer from anxiety, and I think being just stuck in that box makes you more anxious.
Yeah.
So you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So sometimes you got to do something like, man, I don't know if I can do this, but let's try it. I mean, that's like even like traveling abroad, going somewhere where you don't speak the language.
That's
it's just
freaky. Yeah.
freaky. I mean, it takes courage to do that not everybody has.
Right.
To experience life and go there, do that. You know?
Yeah. And to be okay with maybe making a mistake or doing something wrong or not knowing what the outcome will be. Yeah.
Don't you think some of it is from growing up small town? Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my world was so small.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
small.
Yes.
It's comfort in the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is a comfort in the repetition in the
Absolutely. It's safe.
Yeah.
It's safe.
Yes.
I think we mistake that type of need for community, though, where you have familiar people and things. That's safety. The people you know and love around you all the time, that's great.
Yeah.
But I think we kind of warp that into something else where, oh, these people I'm supposed to know and love, or these I'm being told but I don't have an actual connection with them. But I'm being, I have to believe it, though, because this is how I'm able to afford my lifestyle and whatever else is going on. That's really hard to like separate, though. I think for some people, but yeah,
we talk about that a lot. Just like growing up in small town, but your head
Big city,
and your heart is bigger than that. And all of me always wanted to be that person that was happy with what I had. Like
Right.
Well, I call it simpler. Like
Yeah.
But that's why I've moved so many times.
But at a certain point, you have to just like accept who you are.
Yeah.
And it's like it's okay for people to want to have that simplicity. It's also okay for me to like not
for sure
want that for myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Equal.
Yep.
I respect your decisions.
Yeah. One isn't better
lifestyle.
than the other.
Exactly.
No.
Individually,
Yes.
one is definitely better for me.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. Exactly.
I've met a man, though. His name is Jim Elliott, and it was a great conversation because he said he was always a homebody, but he's accepted all that about himself because he built a house for his son, and just he was fulfilled in life, but he was okay with providing the home environment for everybody. But he's like, I never needed to go anywhere. I was a fireman. He had his place in the world.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, you don't actually need to travel, but it's about what you do for that. If you're at the hometown, right, and if you make it the best hometown, you build it up, right? I think that's how you're able to stick around, right? You don't necessarily have to move, but there's a story I heard from Guy Ritchie, the director. It's about the prodigal son.
That's the Bible. That's actually a...
I know, but his interpretation of it, the prodigal son.
Like, we're not going to talk about that stuff.
No.
No. But it's just Guy Ritchie, the film director. I like his interpretation. It's a view on life. So this guy, the dad, two sons. One son goes off, spends his inheritance, goes crazy, adventures, and experiences life. One son stays behind. He's like, I'm going to stay on the farm, work with you. I'm not going to go out. I'm being safe. And so the dad is like, he can go out. That's fine. You can stay here. That's fine. And so when the son, he's coming back, this son who spent everything and kind of, lived like a rascal. And so the dad says, okay, let's get our best cow for him. We're going to have a celebration when he comes back. We're going to celebrate this. And so the son that stayed was like, what do you mean? He spent all your money. He wasted it on stuff. And now you're welcoming him back. Like, why are you not disciplining him or telling him? So he's like, just do what I said, please. And we're going to celebrate him. The son comes back and he says, hello, son. You were lost, but now you are found. And so in that story, you're all three of those people. You're the dad who has to decide what to accept and what to put boundaries on. You're the son who stays behind the logic. Why would you leave this perfectly good, safe place? And then you're also the one who goes out and is not logical at all and is like, I want to experience this thing, and it may or may not be a good idea, but I need to try it because this the thing that's holding me back, that other, if you listen to his brother, right? If you listen to that part of yourself that's like, I don't know if I can do this, you're never going to be able to go out and actually see something different. Well, that's just comes down to trying something that you've never actually done before.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's about owning and accepting your decisions. And that's why we haven't like moved immediately, or as soon as we did our first trip, quit the jobs. Because it's like, if we make a decision based on a whim,
Yes,
we're responsible for it too. And so I'm not wanting
so far
to,
it hasn't felt like
Yeah.
it makes sense yet.
and I don't want to be responsible for that decision yet.
Yeah.
So
But also, like, one life supports the other at this point, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so you kind of love that life that's allowing you to have this other thing as well.
yeah. So we do it we see the relationship as like a separate thing that you have to care for and cater to too, because you're an individual in a relationship. Yeah. So you have to put more work into something else. And I think
For sure. What about when you guys collaborate on Go There, Do That stuff?
Oh yeah, that's been interesting.
it's been more fun
I mean,
lately.
especially in the beginning, I'll say for us, it's like pretty much all we talked about nonstop. Like at any given moment, we'd start talking about any aspect of the business, whether it's the bus, the tours, the marketing, whatever, and just talk about it all the time. And you know, I'll obviously not agree on everything, but it's
Work through it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like a perfect test of how much you're willing to compromise for each other is to start a business together.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yep.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. I mean, because it's not worth fighting over, right? Like, I'm not going to argue with you about it.
Right.
I'm going to
But it
express
still
that I'm
matters.
disappointed.
Yes.
And our opinions are both equal. But, like, I think it's, for me especially, has been that compromise part of it has been good.
Yeah, being able to do that in like a kind of business kind of mindset helps you do that in like your relationship mindset too. It's like
absolutely
take things less seriously.
Yes.
As far as like, oh well, you didn't, clean the sink the same way I would have done it or whatever. But it's like you stop seeing little things like that because you're also like working together, and it's like, well, you didn't, phrase that how I would have. But oh well, and like that type of thing, it makes it less.
It just has to be perfect. Like what is perfect? Yeah.
Well, you both have the same goal at the end. We all have the same goal at the end, right? It just maybe we get there differently, and it takes some conversation to get there.
Yeah, it is cool too. Like, I don't know if y'all feel like this too, but to have like our thing together, because we are very we are very independent and like have our own things and our own things that we're into. But then we have this like big part of our lives that are, together now, apart from like our relationship, obviously, also, but it kind of like strengthens that, I think.
Absolutely.
Helps to have something to do. Yeah. Work on together.
But without the strong relationship, you couldn't have the business.
Right. It'd be very telling.
Yeah.
Like,
you gotta get over yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's fun. We're at about an hour right now.
Really?
Cool.
Yes. So we could talk for days, but
we can keep going.
there's other things that gotta happen. So I'm very glad that y'all were able to host us, and then we were able to host y'all on the podcast, and this is really cool, and it's great to see y'all.
I'm so proud of you guys.
We're proud of you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool. It's cool to see people just doing good stuff in life. Yeah. Remember, guys, go there, do that, and
let's get uncorked.
see you next time.